I'm Logan Crawford, and right now on Spotlight, we're speaking with author Donna Deal about her three very memorable books. Naughty Nada follows the investigation of a group of housewives who are curious about the strip clubs that golfers frequent on their trips to Myrtle Beach. In Annabella, the sequel to Naughty Nada, the women find themselves kidnapped and caught in the middle of a civil war between the Ukrainians and pro-Russian forces. It is quite an adventure that leads them on a dangerous journey to fight for their freedom. Who is a little change of pace, of course. The name of the book is called Who. It's a personal journey, a poignant story about caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's and the emotional and physical toll it can take on the caregiver. We are delighted to have Donna join us today on Spotlight, and we ask those watching to support writers like her by subscribing to our channel. Donna, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you so much for having me, Logan.
Your books are wonderful. They're quite an adventure. Particularly, let's separate two. We've got Naughty Nada and Annabella. Those two are grouped together, and then we'll get to why at the end when we change our tone a little bit. But Naughty Nada is a fun adventure. Tell the folks at home what it's all about and what inspired you to write about these women.
Well, first of all, we all know that human trafficking is a very serious subject and matter in our world today. And what inspired me to really write this book is there are a lot of men and women that are obsessed with going to strip bars. And I just put together a story that had some feeling of action in it. And I brought these women to life in my book. And it was very helpful to have these ladies be a part of what's happening in the world today. And it's a scary feeling for everyone that's involved. Sex trafficking is, like I've said before, it is very dangerous, and it's a lot of it happening in the world today. And I
a
put
lot
this.
of people unwittingly support it, like these golfers who go to the strip clubs don't realize the criminal enterprise they're actually supporting by going to places like that, right?
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it is quite an adventure. And then Annabella, the adventure continues, and they find themselves in even a much more outrageous situation. Tell us about that a little bit.
Well, these ladies really go through a lot. They are fighting their way through, like you say, the Civil War. They're a part of what's happening, and they're trying to get themselves back to normal and back to the United States and have a life with their families. It's been 10 years since the incident happened with Naughty Nada, so they have the opportunity to go home. And there's one particular person in the book. Her name is Tina, and she turns out to be the most helpful person to help them get back home. And there is also a part in it that some of them may not make it back. So without telling the story and what happens, that's part of it.
Absolutely. Now, did you write this before the whole Ukrainian war thing, or did you write?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I didn't have a clue when I wrote this book what was going to happen. I mean, this is book originally were written, Naughty Nada was written in 2014. Annabella was written in 2015. So I had no way of knowing when I wrote this book. I did a lot of research about the areas that I wanted to put in my book, but I had no clue that this was happening.
Well, timing is everything in life. So you picked a good time to have these books out there, particularly with what's going on in Ukraine and Russia. And the fact that this is quite an adventure featuring a hardy bunch of women really is quite prescient on your part. I think you were inspired somehow to write this, that's for sure. You've got quite an imagination. Tell me a little bit about your writing process.
I like to write stories that are entertaining and powerful. I write short novels because they're an easy read, and that helps my audience. I like to use social media. I feel like that if people get to know me and get to read my books, they'll know the type of character I am, as well as what the characters are in my books.
Exactly. And people can find out more by going to your website. It's donnadealbooks.com. It's a great website. You can actually purchase all 3 books on that website. Now let's talk about a very serious book. It is Why, and it's about caring for a loved one with Alzheimer's. Tell us a little bit about your inspiration behind that.
Well, first of all, the book is Who.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm like an Abbott and Costello routine. Who, what, where,
You're
why,
okay.
how.
You're okay.
Yeah.
I like to explain that. The book is about my father. I was a caregiver for him, and we had going through this is a very, very serious situation when you're caring for someone that goes through the changes in their life, and they don't know who you are, and things are happening to their bodies and they don't understand. It's horrifying. There are times when you cry for them, and there are times when you have to be firm and try to take care of them in the best manner that you can. It's not easy to care for a loved one, but for you to have that ability is a great thing. It's an experience that you'll never forget. And when it's all said and done and over with, you have that feeling of accomplishment in some way that you've helped get that person through their last ends of their life.
Exactly. Especially when the person who you're caring for is the person who gave you life and
Right.
took care of you when you were helpless. To give that back at the end is quite a reward for both of you in many ways.
That's
Although,
true.
of course, it is very, very difficult. I think it's particularly difficult when people don't recognize you and you barely recognize them after a while because, all the stories are gone, the history is gone. It's kind of it's a terrible way to end your life in many ways.
Sure is.
Yeah. Yeah. Must have been difficult to write the book, huh?
It was. It was
Yeah.
difficult,
Yeah.
but it helped me in a lot of ways because I felt like I was helping others by when they read this book. Those people that are going through the same thing that I went through, it's helpful.
Yeah. Yeah. And with people living longer lives nowadays, people living into their 80s, 90s and beyond, it seems like Alzheimer's and dementia has just become part of aging.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And
Tell
it
us a
is
little bit about,
hereditary.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
And it is hereditary.
Yeah. And that's a scary prospect as well. Yeah,
Right. Right.
absolutely. Tell us a little bit about your life when you're not writing.
I work a full-time job. I,
Okay.
customer service representative, and I work with people. I talk to people every single day,
Yeah.
and I enjoy my job, and I enjoy my time I get to write.
Yeah. It's when you writing, it really transports you to a different world. I know one is autobiographical, but the others are novels. So you
Right.
get to create this incredible world around you. And it's like, in many ways, it's an escape for you as well as the reader, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Do you have any more books up your sleeve? Anything else you're thinking about working on right now?
I'm actually working on the third sequel to Naughty Nada and Annabella.
Wow.
So yeah, and I also have a book all ready to go that I may be introducing soon too. So I do
Okay.
have other things in the making. Yes.
That's great. That's great. Who's your first reader? When you write something, who do you give the book to and say, hey, what do you think of this?
Usually my daughter.
It's
I
a
usually
test of
try my
true love. The
family out
person who will
first.
read your manuscript is a good person, because they're not always perfect at first, right?
No, they're not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So you give it to your daughter, and does she give you feedback? Does she tell me how that works?
She's pretty honest about things, and but she's also backs me as far as if there's something that is not quite right, I will hear about it, I'm sure. And that's why I like my family to be a part of my writing career, because it's important to know how they feel. And of course, this was 2 adult fiction books, and it was the first time Mama ever wrote anything like that. So it was a shocker.
Right. Well, it's good for you to get to know her on a different level, her to get to know you on a different level, and to have that bond about something you've created, which is
Right.
really wonderful. Have you thought about the Naughty Nada series as a TV series or a film?
Absolutely. I've written a screenplay. It's out there to all the film industries and movie industries. We're promoting it right now to try to get someone to respond. It's a good read. I mean, it's a good write. The screenplay is absolutely wonderful. And I even have in mind some cast members I would love to have in my movie.
Okay, let's hear them.
First of all, you would be the good news reporter in my movie.
Okay, good. Yep. I've played that once or twice.
Yes, you have. Also, we all know, and Yellowstone has 4 of the toughest women actresses in this world, and they would make the best 4 actresses of my characters in my book. All 4 of them would be. You're talking about, Beth and Summer and Teeter and Monica that play in Yellowstone. And of course, we can't forget about Rip. Rip would make the best Toby in my book. Oh my gosh.
I agree. I think you're onto something. I think, who's the creator of that? Taylor Sheridan? I think you need to collaborate with Taylor Sheridan and get this thing made. There are 3 wonderful books: Naughty Nada, Annabella, and Who. 2 are, one's the original book, Naughty Nada. The sequel is Annabella, a different book altogether. It's an autobiographical book. It's called Who, not Why. It's called Who. And it's about Alzheimer's disease, a serious topic. And they're all written very, very well, easy to read, enjoyable reads, and very, very adventurous when it comes to the books about Naughty Nada and the crew, and very touching when it comes to the tale of Donna Deal and her father. So delighted to have you today on Spotlight, Donna. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Pleasure is all mine. And to the folks at home, I'm Logan Crawford, thanking you for your time this time. Until next time on Spotlight.